APC Senator Monday Okwebolo emerges as Edo State Governor in Saturday's contested election.
Ruling People's Democratic Party rejects INEC's result on Edo governorship.
As the world needs for the 79th United General Assembly, Vice President Kashim Shettima leads Nigeria's delegation to this year's event.
And good morning, Nigeria. We shall review the 2024 Edo governorship election.
It is now official that APC's Monday Okwebolo has won Saturday's governorship election. The All Progressive Congress APC won in 11 local government areas, while the People's Democratic Party led in 6 local government areas.
And Saturday, September 21st, was a definitive day for the people of Edo State, who voted to elect a new governor to take over from incumbent Godwin Obaseki. Obaseki's double terms of 8 years end on the 12th of November 2024, according to the Constitution.
That's true, Jumai. Edo is one of the 8 states in the country where off-season elections hold due to issues arising from litigations and court judgments.
Now, more than 2.5 million people registered to participate in the election in more than 4,000 polling units. This represents 22.5% of the population of Edo State.
Yeah, but the number of people with permanent voters' cards were slightly lower. Just about 300,000 of the number you mentioned, Jumai, did not pick their PVCs. And,
reports indicate that Edo North has had the most number of voters with PVCs, representing 33.1% of the total number of those who voted, actually.
Yeah, this was closely followed by Edo Central with 26.7% of the voters, and Edo North with just 16.6%.
17 political parties took part in the election, with just one female candidate slugging it out with the men to get into the Edo State government house.
What happened to the women?
That is the $1 million question. I was watching Ruth yesterday asking these questions, and there are no answers. I don't know why it happens. Don't we just support ourselves?
Well, I think it's time that the women will just begin.
We need to be awoke. We need to wake up.
Some have described the Labour Party's outing as the surprise of the exercise because it threw its weight behind the 2 top contenders. That's the People's Democratic Party at PDP and the All Progressives Congress APC. Others, however, insist this is not a surprise, especially after the party's performance at the last general elections.
But sadly, the Labour Party candidate lost in his own polling unit.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's quite interesting.
That's politics.
That's politics. That's how it's played.
But in spite of the PDP's performance at the election, his candidate won in his polling unit. The same also applies to the APC.
The ruling People's Democratic Party obviously put up a good fight to retain its seat in the government house, but the efforts were not enough, as we now know with the result that is out now.
Yeah, well, the election umpire, INEC, did not disappoint. It deployed technology with the use of IREV and other gadgets to ensure a transparent process.
If you recall the campaigns, Mr. Ademola, it began on Wednesday of April, 24th, after several political parties conducting fresh primaries to replace their earlier nominated candidates.
And as Edo State citizens and Nigerians in general react to the result on an APC's performance, Several persons have described the exercise as fair.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, our guests will be telling us more about the entire process. Some of our guests were on ground in Edo to witness the exercise. They will all join us shortly. You're welcome to the program. I am Jummai Yusuf.
And I am Ademola Adioye. We are reaching you live on the network service of the NTA. Our usual newspaper review will come up shortly with Chukwudi Okoli Ugbaja. But let's first get the news from Dennis Adeguloye. Hello, Dennis.
Hello, Dennis. It's a beautiful day.
Yes, definitely a beautiful morning. Good morning, Ademola and Jummai. Good morning, Nigeria. Here is the morning news. President Bola Tinubu congratulates Senator Monday Okpebolo, the All Progressives Congress candidate, in Saturday's Edo State governorship election on his victory at the polls. Senator Okpebolo was declared the winner by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on Sunday, having defeated other candidates for the position. President Tinubu commends APC national leaders, Edo State leaders and party governors for working hard to achieve victory, saying this testified to the people's support for the ruling party, its progressive ideals, economic re-engineering program and commitment to improving the lives of Nigerians. The president urges Senator Okpebolo not to gloat over his victory, but to see it as a challenging call to service. He encourages him to demonstrate magnanimity by reaching out to his political rivals and uniting the people of Edo State to ensure its development. He also praises other candidates who participated in the election for their contributions to advancing Nigeria's democracy, saying peaceful political contests such as the one on Saturday portray Nigeria as a stable democracy. Tinubu urges all those aggrieved by the election outcome to seek redress through the legal channels. He commends the people of Edo State for their orderly and peaceful conduct during the election, underscoring the maturing of Nigeria's democracy after 25 years. The president also commended INEC and the security agencies for working round the clock to conduct a successful, peaceful and largely hitch-free exercise. Well, the wait is over. A new governor-elect has been announced. Senator Monday Okpebolo of the All Progressives Congress will now be the #1 man of the state for the next 4 years after the expiration of the tenure of Governor Godwin Obaseki.
Our candidate has a good mind, and he can manage Edo State resources well. People will benefit from his leadership.
The People's Democratic Party has rejected the INEC's results of the September 21st Edo governorship election. State chairman of the party, Dr. Tony Aziegbemi, stated this, or the position of the party, while briefing journalists in Benin City. Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima has arrived in New York ahead of the 79th United Nations General Assembly. He was received at the John F. Kennedy Airport by Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, and other officials of the Nigerian mission in the United States. The Vice President is leading Nigeria's delegation as directed by President Bola Tinubu, and he is expected to deliver Nigeria's national statement to the General Assembly, attend important sideline events, and also hold bilateral meetings. The high-level general debates with the theme, Leaving No One Behind, acting together for the advancement of peace, sustainable development, and human dignity for present and future generations, will run from Tuesday, September 24th through Saturday, September 28th. Nigeria will continue to work with its international partners to ensure that cyber criminals and organized crime groups involved in transnational car thefts are deprived of the benefits of their illegal activities. A statement by Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, says the President directs security and law enforcement agencies, including the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, the Nigeria Customs Service, the Nigeria Police Force, and the Nigerian Port Authority to intensify efforts in cracking down on individuals in possession of and trafficking in stolen vehicles. The president notes that one of the most effective tools available to law enforcement agencies is depriving criminals of the proceeds from their illegal activities. He acknowledges the recent handover of 53 vehicles and $180,300 by the EFCC to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police on behalf of 2 Canadian citizens who are victims of cybercrimes perpetrated by Nigerian nationals. While expressing concern over the involvement of transnational organized criminal groups in exporting stolen vehicles to Nigeria, President Tinubu commends the Commission for collaborating with partners to ensure a coordinated and professional repose to this menace. The President further directs all relevant agencies, particularly the anti-corruption agencies, to protect Nigeria's economic and financial integrity from organized crime infiltration. He also demands that the value of seized and confiscated movable assets be preserved for the state, society, and victims in line with existing legislation and international conventions. The President strongly affirms Nigeria is not a destination for stolen vehicles and a haven for illicit wealth from foreign countries. He affirms that his administration remains committed to tackling money laundering, cybercrime, and other financial crimes. Well, those are the news highlights for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues after this break with Jummai and Ademola. Please stay tuned.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, the land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we swear in colors, with undying demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we have more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, we are Nigeria, strengthening unity. We know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, we are Nigeria. Together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
The Honorable Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Engineer Professor Joseph Telemun Otsev, and the Honorable Minister of State, Bello Mohamed Goronyo, cordially invite the general public to the commemoration of the 2024 World Rivers Day in Nigeria. The sub-theme of the celebration in Nigeria, Protect Our Rivers from Pollution, highlights the immense benefits of our rivers and raises awareness about the urgent need for their protection, conservation, and sustainable management. The event will be held on a low key, simultaneously across the 12 River Basin Development Authorities RBDAs. Details of the Abuja event are as follows. Date, Monday 23rd September 2024. Venue, Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, Conference Room and Jabi Lakeside. Time, 10 a.m. Signed, Richard Filangwa, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation.
I am pregnant. It is important for me to take care of myself and stay healthy.
To be strong and have a healthy pregnancy, take iron and folic acid tablets every day when you're pregnant. This prevents anemia and helps maintain a healthy pregnancy. Visit your healthcare provider for regular antenatal care. This message is from the ANRIN Project, Federal Ministry of Health.
In a world hungry for goodness, with a splash of golden Terra oil, a mom can transform a frown into a smile. Make a lunch hour a happy hour. Change no thanks into yes please. Provide care when our nearest and dearest needs it most. And resolve family feuds without blowing a whistle. Providing tasty, nourishing family meals is all that matters. The world needs moms because where there are moms, there is hope, happiness, and love. Golden Terra Oil, or pure love.
Hey, Charles. It's so hot, Auntie. You'll get used to it.
Yes!
What's the big deal? It's just a cereal.
Just a cereal? You are talking about something that has helped thousands of Niger farmers provide for their families for decades. This cereal, we have enjoyed it for so long. It's part of our history.
Is that you?
And it's packed with the energy and nutrition that I know my family needs every day. That's why Golden Morn is so special to us. You get it?
Keep enjoying Nigeria's favorite breakfast cereal fortified with Grain Smart, a special combination of iron and vitamins to help your family make every day golden.
I get it now.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
Some say learning is fun, but as a mom, I see how demanding it can be for my child. That's why I ensure he starts every day with a cup of Bonvita. Bonvita. Prepare them to win every day.
You have to meet my best friend. She's the sweetest. Hey, check out my hair.
Which one? The one on your head or the one in the sink? Relax. Next time, just use the Mega Growth Anti-Damage Relaxer. It's infused with wonder oils and conditioning proteins so you can retouch without breakage. Now your hair looks great.
Thank you.
Retouch without breakage with Mega Growth Anti-Damage No-Lie Cream Relaxer.
TerraCube. Unwrap joy. Unleash taste.
We all get that party where they get your back anytime or day. E go carry a matter for head like say na your own. Now so Go TV tanda for your side as your party for correct enjoyment. We not a tear pocket. For this Go TV Super Plus Golden Window, you fit touchlight all the 380 Premier League games, correct local shows, and better film. We day for you. Make your sharply upgrade or recharge your Go TV on top Super Plus to enjoy every today. The Super Plus Golden Window don't come out money now. No do yourself, oh. Go TV. Love it.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. It's time for newspaper review.
Viewer Chukudi Okolo Gbaja is in the studio. Good morning, Chukudi.
Good morning.
And congratulations for successful election.
I am not from Edo State.
I know you were before they now.
But when I was there, because Benin is home.
Is home.
If you see the plantain, the size of it, snails. No, it was a glorious place then.
Yeah, it still is.
We have to say congratulations to Benin people in Edo State.
Yes.
Because all the fears we had would seem to have evaporated. Let's get on with it.
Good morning, Chooks.
Morning, Demo. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Have you forgotten that he's here? Just by looking at my pretty face.
I know. I told you you're a major attraction to me here without intoning anything and untoward.
Okay, let's go quickly to the papers. We're beginning with the Leadership newspaper. And above the masthead, we have finally DSS releases End Bad Governance Protesters. You find the details on page 6. Again, terrorists bomb 330 kV Damatru Maiduguri power line. You find the details on page 22. And just below the masthead, current petrol pump price still driven by subsidy. How? You read up and find out why. You find the details on page 7. Council polls, APC clears Kwara, Imo seats. Details on page 7. And a side piece of the headlines in the Leadership newspaper, the main story, Nigeria's annual tire import hits 108 billion naira. You find details on page 21. Coal mine explosion kills 51 in Iran. Details on page 16. Serap seeks probe of ecological funds. Find that on page 6 also. Tinubu order crackdown on cybercrime car theft. Details on page 6. And the picture stories see there. APC's Okpebolo floors Igadolo Akpata in Edo governorship with riders scores 291,667 votes. PDP trolls with 24,274. LP polls 22,761. And police work Obaseki out of INEC office. PDP governors kick. And Tinubu Buhari orders hail victory. That's the picture story you see there. Let's quickly go to the Daily Trust newspaper. And just below the masthead, Serap urges Tinubu to probe ecological funds spent by no state government. Details on page 37. Israel orders 45-day closure of Al Jazeera West Bank office. You find that on page 5. Flood. Zulum raises committee to disperse donated funds. You find details on page 8. And APC's Okpebolo wins Edo governorship election. And PDP rejects results. Obaseki calls for calm. Vote buying, disruption of collation, polls. Tinubu Buhari Barrow hail own parties victory. And the picture story you see there, the illustration is something I've read in the Leadership newspaper. And petrol is 52 naira per litre in Libya. Details on page 31. And cholera kills 12 in Adamawa. And details on page 37. Military denies detention of naval rating for 6 years. Details on page 6. Katsina celebrates 37th anniversary today. Mr. Ademola.
All right, thank you, Jumai. I have the Nigerian Pilot newspaper with me, and just below the nameplate, we have PDP fault INEC on result collation, alleges massive irregularities. Details on page 6. Soldiers kill vandals, destroy 13 illegal refineries in Niger Delta. The details can be found on page 4. And the current issue, which is the APC, the Edo gubernatorial election. APC wins Edo gubernatorial election as INEC declares his candidate. Monday of Bolo, winner having scored 291,667 votes. And I think, Juma, you've read the details of all this in other newspaper. Let's move to other stories on the front page of the Nigerian Pilot. Defense headquarters explains role of military in Edo Goba election. Details of that story can be found on page 6. The federal government Labour signed MOU on consequential salary adjustment. That's good news for the workers. 244 million children globally between the ages of 6 to 18 not in school. That details can be found on page 5. Adamawa receives 200,000 doses of cholera vaccines from UNICEF. The Oka leaders petition Police Service Commission over Supol Iburu Ifeanyi's activities and probe spending of billions of ecological funds by Bono government. Syrup. The NDLEA arrest 80-year-old grandpa with drugs. Intercept 14.9 billion opioids. Details on page 4. Chooks.
Did the 80-year-old grandpa know that contraband was on him?
Well,
maybe somebody could have taken advantage of him, because I can't imagine a man who has one foot in the grave engaging in such grave activity.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense.
When I saw it on the social media yesterday, and I was, what, 80 years? What was he going to do with the money?
APC's
Actually,
Okpewolo.
I think it was caught. He confessed selling illicit drugs for the past 25 years. So he's been doing the business. So he's been in the business for the past 25 years. That's what he said. Yeah, it's a statement on Sunday from the agency's spokesperson Femi Babafemi stated that the suspect obtained the drugs from Benin Republic, and he's been in the business for the past 25 years.
Mugbe. Yeah. APC's Okpewolo is a governor-elect. You go download, didn't make it.
No, he didn't make it.
So what should matter to us in the matter? First of all, was the process free and fair? Does INEC get a pass mark from the exercise? These are the things that are germane to us. We were able to take results to the INEC portal, that's the IREV. What are prospects of our being able to take all elections in 2027 to the portal? Maybe real time this time. These are the things that are. Yeah. But I think that at the end of the day, we need to still...
Anyway, those are the questions that we're asking today, our guests.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, Edo State people have to be commended. All the fears we had, they have come to naught.
Yeah.
You know, I said the other time, if they don't sign the peace accord, don't vote for them. They are taking us for granted. How dare they? You know? But at the end of the day, I think everybody has comported themselves well.
Yes,
and we
yes.
say,
It went
for
well.
now, thanks to INEC for doing what seems to be a good job. PDP is saying they were in factions. Let them prove it if they have a point. That's the way I look at it. Current petrol pump price still driven by subsidy. Mugbe, I think that's my second Mugbe today.
Mugbe.
I hope it turns out a good day.
I don't know which subsidy.
If
do you know what Mugbe is?
Many people don't keep at you.
Do you know what Mugbe is? This Mugbe that you are saying. What is Mugbe?
Mugbe, actually, anytime I lifted the cane against a pupil at Ajashi Primary School where I served in Owo, Mugbe would come from the
What
boys.
does it actually mean?
Mugbe, I'm in trouble.
Actually, the next person I lifted the cane on will shout Mokuno.
Which means that the person don't die.
I don't die. Oh my God. Well, let them work it out. Nigerians are trudging, but the times are really hard in the face of unearthly fuel prices. Let us pray that when competition eventually sets in, we are talking about Dangote refinery. We should be talking about 9 more private refineries in Nigeria. Competition will level everything. If you doubt me, ask MTN and Glow. So that is the ultimate. Let's pray to.
I was looking at my oil gauge this morning, and I have to psyche myself. Yeah. I know I have to psyche myself, talk to myself before I go and get fuel. I have to talk to myself. Jume, calm down.
Were you able to get
calm
fuel?
down. No, I've not gotten fuel, but I was looking at the gas. If I'm going to get fuel, I had to tell myself, Jume, calm down. Calm down.
No, it's available.
Yes.
It's available.
You know, it's not the availability. It's the money.
NNPC TARS. You buy fuel.
It's the money. It's not the availability.
Because I drove around yesterday, I couldn't get,
my needle.
You have to go to the outskirts a bit.
My needle is perpetually yellow, you know, the gauge. Perpetually now. And they say it doesn't help your fuel pump.
It doesn't.
You're stressing it.
So you need to tell yourself to calm down.
We have to learn to calm down.
Yeah, we have
it
to
elongates your life
down.
anyway. DSS releases end bad governance protesters. I pray that it is gradual movement towards peace with protesters because they had a right to protest. But if any of them was found to have done anything against the green, white, green, they should answer for it. Otherwise, those people should not be in detention at all.
And they're gearing up for 1st October.
Of course, yes. Let's say that it's all a process of shaking hands again. At the end of the day, we are all Nigerians. That is the kind of confession that should be coming from us.
And we tanda gidiba.
I'm not a pastor. Let me keep quiet. Terrorists bombed 330 kV power line Damaturu to where is it Meduguri?
Not again.
Not again.
Not again.
Now, I said this is not a good one.
This is
330 kV usually rides on what we call pylons. I was a NEPA staff.
That's it, 33 kV.
My job was to work out payment to contractors for clearing the the shrubbery, under the pylons, those steel towers, 330 kV is the highest. It's followed by 132 kV.
Yes.
Then after that, 33 kV, then 11 kV. It effectively knocks out
all the industries
in an entire district, region.
That is not even my point. At this
Understand.
point in time, when Maiduguri is going through a situation like this, and this happens again.
Trouble me to have.
It's really
one shock wave after
very
the other.
unfortunate.
Yes.
The Igbo man calls it never rains, but it pours.
Pause.
It's,
On that note,
not fair.
Well, Chooks, we have to draw the curtain.
I know. I
on
know.
this segment of the program.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Because
for
we
having
have
me.
these Edo issues that we need to talk about.
It's going to be a full day for you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
So we take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.
A new edition of TV Guide is out.
This time, we got up close and personal with the transformational legislator, the Deputy President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Barrow Jibrin.
It created a difference in terms of representation through interventions that have brought an unprecedented infrastructural development to my area.
This edition is a compendium of mind-blowing stories for your reading pleasure, ranging from technology, entertainment, economy, media, politics, family, and lots more.
It is indeed a park of excitement as we take you through every aspect of life. Pick up your copy and get abreast with issues and trending features within our space.
TV Guide, very incisive, very educative and compelling. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or any NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Hey, Charles. It's so hot, Auntie.
You'll get used to it.
Yes! What's the big deal? It's just a cereal.
Just a cereal? You are talking about something that has helped thousands of Niger farmers provide for their families for decades. This cereal, we have enjoyed it for so long. It's part of our history.
Is that you?
And it's packed with the energy and nutrition that I know my family needs every day. That's why Golden Morn is so special to us. You get it?
Keep enjoying Nigeria's favorite breakfast cereal fortified with Grain Smart, a special combination of iron and vitamins to help your family make every day golden.
I get it now.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
The Bureau of Public Service Reforms is pleased to announce the commencement of the pre-retirement training program for selected federal government parastatals scheduled for officers who are retired or retiring between January 2023 and December 2024. The training will be held from 23rd to 27th September 2024 at the following zonal centers nationwide: Northwest Zone, Aminu Kano Center for Democratic Research and Training, Mumbai House, BUK, Kano, Kano State; North Central Zone, Amikelo Guest Inn, off Shandam Road, Lafia, Nasarawa State; Northeast Zone, Hadia Amina Memorial Hall, opposite Federal Inland Revenue Service, Gombe State; South Zone, Hotel Benizia by DBS Road, Asaba, Delta State; Southeast Zone, Royal Palace Hotel, Agbai Road, Enugu, Enugu State; Southwest Zone, Lagos State Public Service Staff Club, Shobo, Arobiodun Street, GRE, Ikeja, Lagos, Lagos State. All officers that fall within the period of selection are advised to check their names in Daily Trust, The Nation, and Daily Sun newspapers of Friday 20th September 2024 and our website at www.bpsr.gov.ng, and please report to the aforementioned zonal centers at 8 a.m. for registration on the 23rd of September 2024. Signed, Director General, Bureau of Public Service Reforms.
Diadem family!
Hey, we go here today.
Back then I used to be Rasaki, but now I'm rebranded. Call me Shegun, you can call me No Guest.
How did you meet your lovely wife?
It was an amazing journey.
Adewale, mention a characteristic of a deceitful person.
Cheating. You're corny. Pretense.
You're selfish.
NTA Television College Jos, with a pedigree of producing indelible professionals in the media space and an affiliate of the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, for the award of degree in mass communication, calls on prospective candidates to leverage on the following courses it offers for 2024-2025 academic session. BSc Mass Communication, those with minimum admissible score of 180 and above who sat for the 2024 JAMB/UTME and direct entry, while 100 to 179 minimum admissible score can apply for the National Innovation Diploma NID in Film and Television Production, Broadcast Journalism, and Television Engineering. For more inquiries, visit our website or call 0803 383 4343. Announcer, Registrar.
We all get that party where they get your back anytime or day. E go carry a matter for head like say na your own. Na so Go TV tanda for your side as your party for correct enjoyment. We not a tear pocket. For this Go TV Super Plus Golden Window, you fit touchlight all the 380 Premier League games, correct local shows, and better film. We day for you. Make your sharply upgrade or recharge your Go TV on top Super Plus to enjoy every today. The Super Plus Golden Window don't come out money now. No do yourself, oh. Go TV. Love it.
Nigeria means a lot to me.
And Nigeria means peaceful cohesion.
My country.
We continue to pray, and then hopefully we will come to understand that unity of purpose, unity of living together.
Our ethnic beliefs and background and culture is our strength.
Ever since the amalgamation period of 1914 to date, about 109 years ago, the people of Nigeria live very peacefully with one another.
I think diversity helps a lot to enhance robust development in Nigeria.
All over the country, you have so many ethnic groups, over 250. That is enough to tell you that this is a blessed country, and God has kept together as one indivisible entity.
This Wednesday, live on Sporty TV. Giro, Rayo Vallecano. Girona versus Rayo Vallecano. Watch live on Sporty TV.
Brought to you by SportyBet. Play with champions.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. Now let's take a background report as a prompt for our conversation.
The long-awaited 2024 governorship election in Edo State has come and gone, with a winner emerging. The election marked another significant chapter in the state's political evolution, characterized by high-stakes competition between leading political figures and parties. It was an important contest given the political history of Edo and its role as a key battleground in southern Nigerian politics. Since the election of Governor Godwin Obaseki, after defecting from the APC, the stage for ongoing political tensions between the two major parties, PDP and APC, was set, and with the emergence of the Labour Party, among others. The political atmosphere charged up with about 17 political parties jostling to take control of the Osadegwe House in Edo State. In the lead up to 2020, the PDP and APC, among other political parties, aimed to consolidate their bases, drawing attention to key issues like economic management, job creation, and transparent governance. Both leading candidates presented their economic blueprints, addressing job creation, industrial growth, and sports for small and medium-sized enterprises. The 2024 Edo State election took place on September 21, 2024, though with what analysts described as a recognizable low voter turnout across rural areas. In a closely contested race, Senator Monday Okpebolo of the All Progressives Congress, APC, scaled through the hurdles by winning with a sizable margin. His victory is seen as a paradigm shift from the PDP administration. Monday Okpebolo of the APC scored a total number of 291,667 votes, while the closest rivalry, the PDP, scored 247,200 274 votes, with Labour Party coming a distant third with 20,763. The election results have raised concerns from political parties and civil society organizations about the electoral process, with some alleging irregularities in some areas and low voter turnout, with the People's Democratic Party signaling intentions to challenge the results in court. As the new administration is set to begin, Edo's future trajectory will depend on how well it addresses its pressing economic and security challenges. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria will review the election process shortly.
Well, thank you, Charles, for that background report. It's now time for us to bring in our guest to review the just concluded Edo governorship election, which many as a judge has been fair. Right in the studio with us, we already have Hamza Lawal, co-convener, Not Too Young to Run movement, Chief Executive, Connected Development. Hamza, you're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Well, thank you for having me. Good morning.
All right. Also joining us is Chibuike Mbe Aruke. So I hope I pronounced your name well. He's an election consultant, Center for Democracy and Development, CDD. Chibuike, you're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
All right.
And we also have in the studio another regular, Jide Ojo. He's a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for finding time to join us.
My pleasure, Juma. Good morning, Nigerians.
And here in the studio also we have Dr. Kingsley Uzoma, security expert and chief consultant, Eagle Rescue and Systems. I think so.
Yeah, sure.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And joining us via Zoom from Benin is Austin Aigbe, member Kimpact Development Initiative, Election Day Data Room for Edo State Governorship Election. Thank you so much for joining us.
What a great honor, and good morning. How's Abuja this morning?
Okay, Abuja is fine. Kingsley, let's just stay with you. Austin, let's stay with you. We're staying with Austin, and because you were on ground all through the election, can you give us your assessment of the governorship election?
Very much. I'm also delighted to see Jide Ojo and Hamza, who were also on ground here in Benin, and only returned to Abuja 3 days ago, yesterday or something. Yes, so as you already said in your opening remark, the state election from the start until we started hearing some kind of manipulative processes towards the end of the poll or the process, the electoral process went seamless, peaceful. Generally, even the military and the police and the other sisters agencies that were declared for the election largely were, with all due respect, brought in some level of professionalism. We hardly heard of any kind of oppression or suppression of voters during the process of voting, unless maybe at the time when we started getting feedback when the governor went to INEC office or when the running mate to the PDP candidate, Osarudin Ogie, had gone to Western Boys High School in the Obahoka local government, where he had claimed that INEC had relocated the collation center from there to the INEC office. Honestly,
with you, Mr. Austin, would you attribute the success to this election in Edo to the proactiveness of INEC and the security operatives?
You're right. Many people thought that with those commentaries that were coming ahead of the elections, the election was a do-or-die affair, may have scared people from showing up. But for me, there was also certain, from my own perspective, I haven't spoken to folks on the ground, there was some form of the confidence in democracy, confident in the process, confident in the outcome, and confident in democratic dividend. Folks who voted in 2020 say that, and so what? What's not the essence of voting when after 4 years after their lives hadn't improved? They end up making all those commentaries. And I thought that democratic recession are setting at a subnational level, where people's enthusiasm to vote has largely diminished. I won't say that security was a challenge, because eventually people at the midday, maybe 12 noon, when everything was calm, to expect people to show up because there was no violence. Because we were thinking the early hour of the day, between that 10, 11, that people probably were skeptical about possible violence, so they won't show up. But by the time they started hearing information at home, everything is working well. They probably would have showed up, but eventually they didn't. And I wouldn't blame the rain at all. The rain, there was prediction from KDI, which was sent to INEC, that if rains were going to fall, what measure would you put in place? Even the pre-election statement that was released was also talked about the rain. INEC prepared for the rain. We can't say, I can't truly say that the rains prevented people from showing up. Because when the rain stopped, there was still about 2 hours before the end of voting. The people still didn't show up in that large number. Because I saw the 2020 off-cycle election. I saw the crowd that showed up. I saw the massive support for democracy. I saw the massive support for election. And you know the outcome. But in this last election on Saturday, I saw remarkably opposite trajectory in that poll.
Thank you very much, Austin, for that, your assessment there. We'll get back to you. Let's come back to the studio right now. Amzad, you were at you were in Benin to monitor the election. And from what he said, let's have your own assessment. Would you say there was adequate preparation for that election? And what happened? Let's have your first eyewitness account.
I think there was adequate preparation for the elections. I was part of the Nigerian Civil Society election situation room delegation, but there was also logistical glitches. We saw that it took over 2 hours to take materials to some polling units. I resumed at a rack center that had over 11 polling units. Okay. I saw where core members who were INEC ad hoc staff with sensitive and non-sensitive materials who were stranded at that rack center. So I approached their supervisor and wanting to know why they're still here. He confirmed to me that there were not enough buses, and when the buses even came, that there were not enough security, that security were being mobilized to come and accompany them to the polling unit. But he also confirmed that the polling unit that these materials were going to were less than 30 minutes drive. So that's in one hand. We saw a lot of security on the ground. Even when there was rain, I had thought that the security personnel would leave where they were manning. No, but I entered the rain. I traveled around and I saw the military who were providing perimeter security. They were still stationed and manned and ensuring that people who were not involved in the electoral process are not allowed free movement and passage. I also saw in every polling unit we had unarmed security personnel, mostly civil defense, Nigerian police, even people from Nigerian Correctional Service. So there was a lot of security, and I think that was what ensured peaceful atmosphere. Okay. I think I was also very concerned about when the other political party had a press conference and announced results. And the law is very clear. It's only INEC that has that mandate, that powers as prescribed by the Constitution to announce results and declare winner.
Some other political parties were announcing results.
Oh yes, and sadly this was an executive governor who called for a press conference, and this, for us, I was a bit worried because this could have led to violence. Because usually when violence erupts is when results start trickling down, and I see no reason why someone with that sensitive position would come forward and announce results because of desperation. And I think we need to be careful in our very young and emerging democracy. And this is someone who also had, issues with his election. And I thought from experience, he would not jump and rather advise people around him that we can't do such a thing. So I hope that the law would catch up with him. I know, yes, now he has immunity, but this is a criminal offense, and we must make example of people who try to submerge the political or the electoral process. But by and large, I'm really happy. I think that this has also opened a window for conversation around electoral reform and the kind of reform we want to see as we go into 2027 in the future. So I think that as the National Assembly would resume after their recess, civil society would come together and approach them with a legislative agenda around electoral reforms.
Anyway, I know that a lot of people have canvassed for that issue of electoral reform, but some people are actually not in particular, positive towards it, because what they say is, even if you have the reform, as long as the players still remain the same, with the same mindset, you are likely to have the same result. Anyway, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. Jidojo, you were also there. Let's have your assessment of what played out.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I was also in Benin at the behest of Kimpact Development Initiative as member of the election the data room, EDDR. Kimpact deployed 413 observers across the 4,519 polling units and 119 wards in Edo State. So we had that data room and we're getting feedback. Aside from what my other comrades have said, I don't want to repeat what they have said. Austin is a member of the same faculty with me in Benin. But as a rider to what Hamza and Austin have said, another word. Let me start on a positive note. Quite a number of things worked for me in this election. As against bloodbath that was predicted, there was no death. There was no massive security breaches. Even from my hotel to where I observed the election, there was strict enforcement of the movement restriction. And I think that is a double-edged sword. It could have contributed to why there was low voter turnout. Given the fact that when you lock down the state because of election, don't forget, people may have registered far from where they reside. And we are the ones saying they should not collect money to go and vote. So what is the incentive for them to risk their life, walk very long distance to where they are going to exercise their franchise? So the lockdown could have been a factor in the low turnout. But it's not the only factor. There is also the issue of what have we benefited in the 25 years of this return to civil rule. So many people have a déjà vu that the successive administration hasn't done enough in their own estimation. So they just want to stay away. And anyway, it's not compulsory for anybody to vote. So we are not in Australia. But the other thing that worked for me, apart from peaceful election, not that there are no breaches, don't get me wrong, but I'm looking at what, even where there are infractions, they are not widespread, they are isolated. So largely the election was peaceful, no deaths recorded, and the people were able to come out and exercise their franchise in a very orderly manner. The other thing was the very professional way INEC handled the IREF. So much so that by 9-10 p.m., over 90% of the polling unit results have already been uploaded. And situation rooms of civil society and even the political parties can do their own tabulation and arrive at their own conclusion. You get, unlike in time past, the people were very skeptical about whether these results were going, or there was going to be a glitch or hitch and all of that. But that didn't happen. So you also have the poll officials also appear to know what they are doing. So they were quite professional. They were on point. But on the flip side, the worrisome development was this massive vote buying or vote trading, where people reports as it that people were getting between 5,000 and 10,000 for their votes, and I think that is becoming a new normal for us in the electoral lexicon. That every election we have massive report of massive purchase of votes. Aside from that, it's also the issue of logistics that is a nagging problem. According to Yaga Africa, as at an hour to the commencement of polls, which is the standard operating procedure, that opening of polls should start 1 hour to the election, so that you set up, paste voters list, and do all the necessary sorting ahead of processing the voter. Only 41% of polling units, 4,519, are, were deployed 1 hour to that. Then, as at 8:30, when voting should actually commence, only 17% of polling units started on time. Okay. And additionally, 1 hour after the poll should have commenced, which is 9:30, election was supposed to be 8:30 to 9:30, 8:30 to 2:30 in the afternoon. Even 1 hour after the scheduled time, 64%, only 64% had opened 1 hour after the purported start of poll. So what that does is that it also leads to low voter turnout. If you tell me, come at 8:30.
Yes, I have to pause you a bit because I have to go back to Benin on our Zoom network. Austin Agbe is seated there. Will be leaving us by 8 o'clock. Mr. Austin, if you're still there and you can hear me, you've been listening to the guests here in the studio talking about voter apathy, issue of logistics, and voter education itself, and security. And let's get your view on voter apathy and people registering, collecting their PVC, and end up not coming to vote. Only 33% were able to vote in this Edo election, and vote buying is an issue that will never go away in Nigerian politics. How do we do it? How do we get it right in this aspect of logistic, vote buying, and people coming out to vote and exercise their franchise?
There were logistical glitches, like the word used by my brother, my friend there. Yes, but I wouldn't link that logistical challenge to low voter turnout. In previous elections, and of course my colleagues in the room will know that you will see voters who are enthusiastic waiting for the materials to come, and they will wait and vote. It happened even in Abuja 2023, in Asokoro, in the Federal Capital Territory, not far away from the INEC headquarters and INEC state office, that's FCT office. Voting went over to midnight, even 2 a.m. on the Sunday morning. People waited to vote. The vote of 2023 and the confidence of voters 2023 did impact squarely on this election. The confidence in the process, like I said, ab initio. If you look further, like I also deposited, that there seems to be the confidence in democratic dividend that is not coming forth. Look, the crisis with the economy. Look, the crisis with our infrastructural affair. Voters told me, an old woman, I was so pained when she said that it is not as bad as this when they were growing up. And I said, were you the one that spoiled it? She said, no. That those days when they vote after the election, and she referred to the Ambrose Ali era of this world, that when they vote, by the time the person wins, even though they will manipulate the result, she actually said that vote buying has been on before even the First Republic. And at those days, if you remember the June 12th, it was sachet tomatoes, onions, that was the vote buying until now when it is monetized. A monetization policy of the federal government apparently has impacted on the monetization of the elections. And Gideon Joe has done a lot of work on campaign financing. There's huge amount of money now saved to buy votes. Politicians are no longer working for the people, they are now buying the people. That said, I don't know how we're going to deal with that. There are people were arrested Those who were arrested, you hear commentaries from politicians now saying they only arrested our own. They did not arrest their own. And I don't get it. You are buying vote, it is criminal action. Whether they arrest party A or they arrest party B, there was an arrest. And that was important to put on record. This election has gone peacefully. I linked it in my commentary last Sunday or so during KDI's security summit. I said that the police should follow what they did in Anambra State. Anambra 2021 was a state that was supposed to be of high conflict. And the election came and went seamlessly. And Edo State has just joined the league of the possibility of violence that are not gone peacefully. And I want to commend the Edo people. Congratulations. However, I don't want to use any chairman's comment. When you feel offended in an election, the statement is already there. They will ask you to go to court. But you must prepare for your evidence. And I think the party that lost the election should have their evidence and approach the court. That was also, I like this election. If you look at 2016 election and you look at 2024 election, there is some form of similarity. We may have another opportunity to talk about those. Thank you very much.
Very much, Austin Aigbe, for your contribution. We heard that you have to leave now, so we just have to release you so that you can catch up with your flight. Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. That's Austin Aigbe, member, Kimpat Development Initiative, Election Day Data Room for Edo State gubernatorial election. So let's come back to the studio. We still have other guests. Let's bring them in. Chubike, you've listened to the reports from those who are on ground at the election. From all that you have heard, what can you deduce from what happened on Saturday?
Okay, first of all, let me just mention it that CDD will be speaking to the media any moment from now on their post-election findings. But there seems to be a consensus on how the election, what transpired during the election. Honestly, what we saw was a very, very optimistic beginning of the election. Everything was going on very well, and then suddenly there is a lull, around surrounding the coalitions and all of that, and that is the saddest commentary of this election. From beginning to until the two local governments that were held up. Just imagine what they said, that if you follow the result uploading, it was progressive. It got to some 90% and all of that.
By
so
9 to 10 p.m.
Yeah. So you wonder why. You now wonder why the two local governments now kept everybody waiting. I do not think that is. You can tell that there must be something wrong. You understand, and that's the real problem that has overshadowed the entire election. Logistics we saw. It's a perennial problem, and we know that. The last time I came here, a few things were mentioned. Is we listened to the CP. We acknowledged that his language was very, very tough and military in nature, and that communicated some kind of discomfort to potential voters.
Maybe fear, something.
I alluded that it's likely to, dissuade people from coming out. Another thing is the high militarization, you see security everywhere. We also question why the access roads will be blocked and all that. But what we have noticed in some areas, the military, largely they were friendly, but there are some incidences where they were tough on people.
Okay.
Turning people back and all of that. But by and large, my only the dark spot for this election is what transpired in Oredo and those two local governments. Exactly, Boboka. That is for me the darkest point of this election. If it had progressed the way we saw it from the beginning, it would have been 100%, if you're describing this election, you know that it was free, fair and
transparent.
But there's a dark spot that will continue to linger, and it is unfortunate. But we also noted that even about the weather, we talked about the weather previously, but that stopped before it too. We know that most people who didn't come to vote, apparently their own sluggishness, and that takes us to the issue of people connecting their vote to good governance. People don't seem to know the power of that vote. If I have my vote and I have not voted, I should be itching to go and vote because your vote will make a difference. I just imagine, I was also worried about the number of votes that will determine who governs Edo State. Now, if you look at the number of PVC collected, which was high and people were very happy collecting them, now it did not turn out the same way. The voting was quite low and turnout was quite low. So I wonder what had happened. If people were very optimistic and enthusiastic, even if it rains, you know that, for me, I would think it's a man-made rain, really, to prevent people from voting. But the fact that your vote is the only thing that will speak, on the outcome of that election, just make that sacrifice that one day and go and vote. We didn't see all of that happening. And I think the fact that PDP failed to sign the peace accord, I think we remember that. And again, they also went outside what is expected to attempt to speak to the result. You understand? Or announce the result. That's also another dark spot of this. I think it should have been good they apply the guidelines, take advantage of provisions to make their grievances known. And that's what to expect in the civil area. But it is too important to keep emphasizing the fact that those two local governments that were delayed constitute a lot of suspicion.
Okay. Yes, and that the two local governments that delayed, we also thought that there was going to be, a second run of the election because a lot of people were waiting for the result. It didn't come out. Let's bring in Dr. Kinsu Uzoma into the conversation, security expert and chief consultant, Eagle Rescue in System. Let's have your assessment of the security situation in Edo and the conduct of the candidates themselves and their followers in the election. How did it go? Did it meet your expectations?
Well, election security management is very critical in the whole process of electioneering. From the point of registration, which we circle between before, during campaigns, and on election day, even after the elections, there are security issues that need to be addressed. Here in this same studio, we followed up when the police confirmed the deployment or mapping of 35,000 personnel, while the military and other security agencies contributed about 8,000. That brings it to about 33 or 43 or thereabout. Yes. So you know that the police is the lead agency on election security management. So that was why the AIG election monitoring in the person of AIG Igbe was very vocal on their preparation and how they are going to match troublemakers, embers of violence with war and what have you. And the also young, you might call him the youngest DIG in the person of Frank Kamba, was also on ground. He knows the law. He is also very active, just like the operational AIG, to be able to comb the whole area. And that sends some level of fears, not only on the supposedly political thugs and what have you, but also the voters themselves. Where if the police are raising an alarm to this level, we wouldn't want to die through a stray bullet and what have you. You would rather stay home than coming out to become a victim. Because if you check, before now, off-cycle elections in states like Kogi, let's not use Edo, we saw some level of violence. Even the last 2023 the November poll, which was the most recent as applicable to off-cycle, that gives some sense of this. And some of the mappings we've done for a place like Edo State, where you have a high level of courtism and what have you. But again, remember that these major candidates, or initially some analysts, we grouped it as a 3-horse race, but it obviously came down to a 2-horse race. And this horse, for me, they are birds of the same feather. They've been in and out of the leading political party. The same outgoing governor was once in APC, back to PDP and what have you. All the candidates, they have the same history. So they each of them knows their modus operandi, how their party coordinates things. So you know where to wage war against the other and what have you. So that also helped on the angle of security. And when you have adequate security patrol, which was part of the recommendation we've done over time based on security threat analysis, you not only deploy the armed guards that should on strategic areas, you should have adequate patrol. Like I've always said, we should have, because of the economic hardship, which is economic insecurity. It's obviously because most of the people are also spoke, and the people I have on ground. What will it profit me to go out there to vote somebody, and at the end of the day, circle of friends? And part of the calls I also received in that regard, those who made reference, they said, okay, why would the governors from my own state, for instance, leave his state to come and dwell in Edo State for another election? That's another negative aspect of circular election, because you see VIPs, big political wigs leaving their states and other to come and troop in a state. It has another persuasive precedent on the influencing outcomes of election. If we must go deeply into a democracy, all those things must be checkmated. The moment the campaign period is over and other, you leave it for the people of Edo State, okay, to do that. But we must also commend the security agents on their improved professionalism, and you cannot commend them without thanking the civil society group and also the media, because if we've not been through the media exposing, torchlighting all these things, I can tell you we would have been going back. But because that the media, the civil society are always there to torchlight all those negative aspects and what have you, the police now know, the security agencies know, we are being watched, we are being policed. That's why we say when the AIG made reference that the police will police themselves, but we said no, we'll rather expound it with the military policing them and the INEC staff. That's when you can have improved security.
We saw some
management.
arrests earlier in Edo with people with guns, and would you say that there was, they got the information from the people?
Well, when you check the arrest, for me, in a place like Edo, is very insignificant. And the only way the security agencies can prove that, yes, they actually work, and to justify the resources mapped out for them, is to make some pockets of arrest.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
To justify all righteousness.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, Dr. Ozova, thank you for your point of view there. Now, let's come to Hamza now. Well, Hamza, a lot of issues have been raised here concerning the last election in Edo State, and many have talked about the issue of vote buying, the apathy of people coming out to vote, but largely it was agreed that at least the election was transparent and also was fair, in all ramification. But in your view, you were talking about electoral reform in order to correct some of these anomalies. And some people have also raised the issue of sanction, that people who have been arrested, for electoral malpractices, most times we don't see them prosecuted. We don't hear anything about them. The thing just goes like under the carpet. So in what ways do you think all these challenges that have been noticed can be addressed? What are we going the right path?
I think first is to even look at society in general and say, where have we gotten it wrong? Why would we, in this time in our democratic history, still talk about voter inducement, which is vote trading, vote buying, and vote selling? Because it is still the people that are involved, both the political class, the society itself. And you talked about arrest. In Ekiti, even at the general election, some arrests were made. For me, when I saw EFCC officials, my question is, what have you done before the elections? It's not that election day you wear your jacket and you say that you're undertaking arrest. Okay, the previous arrest, what had happened to them? And I think we need to make deliberate effort to do follow-up. Are these people being charged to court? Have they been prosecuted behind bars? And how is also government MDAs providing intel or information that, oh, we've prosecuted X amount of electoral cases, and these are the people, and these are the judgments that was made? I know there's a conversation about having an electoral offences commission, and for me, I'm against it because we cannot continue to have more MDAs and increasing
cost of governance
overhead. So, but how can we take personnel from different agencies of government? Now, mind you, the Nigerian police is there. Because you see, Nigerian police is the apex law enforcement agency as recognized by law. And Nigerian police can literally do anything. They can do job of even illicit financial flow. So Nigerian police is not confined only to domestic issues. They can even do, that's why we have even Nigeria police partnering with Interpol. So I think that we just need to empower the Nigerian police to be able to effectively undertake their roles and responsibility. And talking about electoral reform, how can we ensure that in subsequent elections, we don't have a glitch where some local government results, when elections are being tallied? And I think we need to, if we say we want to embrace technology, yes, we know BVAS is a game changer, and the IREV. How can we have this technology? How can we embrace it in full? Because what we're doing is still partial. Can't we get these results even automatically tallied as it goes to the IREV, so that we don't manually tabulate it? How can we ensure that we do away with the local government collation centers? Why do we need to collate results from local government before it goes down to the INEC collation center? Why can't it be automatic? I've observed election in the United States of America. Results are automatically tallied as they happen each state. So again is to really look at all of this gap.
But you would say that there's an improvement this time around compared to what happened in 2023.
Oh yes, there's an improvement, and you see,
and even in Kogi.
And you see, why this is important. Lastly, is we need to rebuild back trust and confidence, particularly in the institution that undertake our electoral process. Because before you go to governance, the middleman between politics and governance is INEC, because the political party will do their campaigns, but INEC is that independent umpire. And if there is no trust, if there is no independence, and if there is lack of interference, then how do you move from politics to governance, and when you don't have confidence in that value chain?
Okay, thank you very much.
Let me bring in Jide Ojo into the conversation. I was reading up on one of my mentors, Bala Ibrahim, of formerly BBC, and he said, and I quote, "Nigeria is a difficult country to understand. It's difficult to grasp or comprehend mentally. This democracy was hard fought. Nigerians fought for this democracy. It's 25 years down the line, and things are not the way it should be. Edo State, like in American politics, we call it a battleground. Edo State was a battleground over the weekend, and almost every person that mattered in both political parties were there on ground to ensure that it was a seamless process. But are we getting it right? 25 years down the line, are Nigerians beginning to understand that your card, your vote matters? Why do people in government who are already sitting in government get agitated at the end of their tenure thinking they cannot win? What did they do wrong?
This is a multi-choice question. Okay, so for me, 25 years, we have made progress. We have made substantial progress. It's just not apparent to people who are not following the trajectory. Yesterday, when we were at Edo Studio, the issue of technology that Hamza talked about, did we have technology in 99, 203, 207?
No.
Former President Muhammadu Buhari said he would never have become president if not for smart card reader in 2015. See, it's now we are seeing proper reflection of voter turnout. In the early years, in 1999, 2003, 2007, presiding officers were using their discretion to accredit voters. Because all you need is bring your, it wasn't even PVC then, it was voter's card, simply voter's card. And there is no chip, there is no machine readable stuff. So you bring your voter's card, which is like ID card, and then somebody looks at your face and says, okay, what's the name? He just looks for the name. There is no independent way of verifying.
And the picture is not even clear.
The pictures are of bad quality. So you cannot even do fingerprint check. And that was when we were referring to, so when we are doing the infographics, we say, oh, in 2007, we have 40% voter turnout. In 2003, we have 50% voter. What is the integrity quotient of those figures? We never query. But now we are seeing proper reflection of the journey, because now smart credit, and that's why I will give kudos to INEC. INEC is not a flawless institution. They still have their issue. I was pointing out that issue of logistics, and we need to drill down whether it's from the INEC or from their vendor, the NURTW people who held them to ransom. Because we should not in 25 years be still having elections starting late, 1-2 hours after the... We used to have election 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. It was because of this logistical challenge that they changed it to 8:30 to 2:30. Even then, we are still starting late. What's wrong with us?
Actually, people thought that because the election is being held in just one state, all the issue of logistics shouldn't have come up at all.
Exactly. But let me stay on technology so that we don't derail unnecessarily. So when people look at the progression of how we have come, they forget those fraudulent elections that took place in the first half of these 25 years. That even the court, how did even Edo become an off-cycle, off-season staggered election state? Was it not because of anomaly of electoral fraud that the court determined that made it to say, Osarami Osumbo, you are not the winner. Adams Oshomole, you are the winner. And we have had 8 of that, which is why we have elections off-cycle in 8 states. It's through judicial intervention and activism. That's part of the progress we have made. I was referring yesterday that Natasha Akpoti will possibly not be in the Senate if there is no provision for election dispute resolution. INEC goofed when they declared the wrong person the winner of that election in 2023, but she went to court. She didn't mobilize her voters to burn down Kogi State or Kogi Central. She went to court. The court restored her mandate. We are talking of 2023. Those are part of the success we have made. So when you look at the introduction of smart card reader in 2015, that even former President Buhari said was a game changer, than because the same Buhari was saying in 2003, 2007, stolen mandate, my stolen mandate. He went to court. The court could not do anything. But in 2015, with the introduction of smart card reader, the level of accreditation became more sophisticated. And those who are engaging in multiple voting, underage voting, were put out of business. As at that time, there was no high vote buying. There was no high vote buying because then you can just give money to presiding officers to do the job for you. Yes. You know, these are my people, these are my people. Let them vote, let them vote. You know, you just add them into the polling unit. And the man just said, okay, Aisha Ibrahim, okay.
It's no longer business as usual.
But it's no longer business. So from smart card reader, we are now in beavers. And this is one of the high points of this election in Edo, that the beavers also worked maximally. So that way, we have solved one problem, which is the accreditation integrity. So we now know the true reflection that unlike in time past where you talk about 50% voter turnout, which does not have any connection to reality, we can now say with this smart corridor and now beavers, we can now beat our chest that these are true reflection, because it's not goat, it's not sheep, it's not cattle that is voting, it's human beings that you and I can see, and we have their picture, we have their fingerprints. So that's part of the success. The judicial intervention that have corrected wrong declaration is part of the success we have made. The fact that people are getting more interested in the electoral process and contesting elections. We are having more youth contesting. The issue of not too young to run, lowering the age, qualification to contest. We had in Kwara State a 26-year-old who won an election into the Kwara State House of Assembly. A lady, a young lady. You understand? So these are some. It may not be apparent to those who are not following
the trend.
But for those, some of us who live on this lane, we know that we are making success. Just that the kind of revolutionary change that people are looking forward to hasn't happened, and it will not happen because election integrity is not a sprint. It's not a 100 meters dash. It's a marathon. Look at what is happening in US. We are blaming ourselves in Nigeria. Look at the rhetorics, the speeches that are being bandied between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. In 2024, I'm not talking of last year, I'm not talking of 10 years, 15 years ago. In 2024, look at the kind of debate that they are having, calling themselves unprintable names. In 2024. So, that is the bastion of democracy that we say we are modeling. So, when you have that kind of course, it happened in Edo. We had that same rhetorics during the campaigns. People calling themselves names, abusive words, and one of the main challenge I just had the brainwave to mention this is the role of disinformation and misinformation in this just concluded election. You could see from Friday, Saturday, a lot of fake news was being peddled. Even results were being posted on social media that have no relevance with the integrity of what is even uploaded. People were posting results based on their own preferences
and even celebrating
and misleading the public. So when the authentic result now came, they say, they rigged them out now. That is because it's because of this disinformation and misinformation. Imagine on Friday, one of the parties said the court has disqualified another candidate. And that was around 2 p.m. How could a magistrate court disqualify somebody? And they went to town with it, and they were banding it. And another said, this one has stepped down for another person, which was far from the truth. Those are the kind of things that is also a threat to the progress that we want to see. Because until the political class rein themselves in and stop this desperate action of winning at all costs, we are not going to... See, I agree with Hamza, he's my brother. We've worked together over the years. But you see, electoral reform itself is not the game changer. It's the operationalization of the reform. We have had so many electoral reforms. Electoral 2022 is said to be a game changer. It introduced wide range of reforms that are still not being fully implemented until when the operators and the regulators of the system decides to behave themselves.
The operators must behave themselves.
The operators must be willing and ready to behave themselves.
Let me just pause you there because we have to go on a break now because my director is talking to us. And you have raised a lot of issues that we are not there yet, but we are in the process. It's not a destination, but also we are going there. We're on a journey, right? And we'll get there. Just be patient with us. So we'll take a break now. The conversation continues. Stay with us.
Nigeria warns vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipments will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
I think Amaka should just move out of the house. Yes.
No. Standing out of the house is not the right thing to do.
Oh, there you go again with your sentimental family stuff.
Baby, if our aim is to stop this affair, it is best achieved under our roof.
You do something terrible and you'll be acting innocent.
What are you going on about?
Don't ask me that question again. You couldn't even control yourself in the presence of our visitors.
What are you accusing me of, woman?
My son, I don't know how serious you are with my daughter, but there's something that needs to be done urgently before you move any further.
Anything, just anything, just say it. I'm ready to do anything.
There is a spell that needs to be removed.
A spell?
Family forever, the story of our lives.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
You have to move from the point where you protect and defend your religion to a point where you also recognize the rights of the other person, of the other religion, and protect it. So if I am protecting my own territory and my own people and trying to emphasize their rights and protect their rights, I should also be thinking about how to protect the rights of the others.
Both Islam and Christianity recognize and defer to God, and both recognize the temporariness of the life of this world, and that ultimately we all go back to God for the day of reckoning, when everybody will render an account of his life on this temporary abode.
The race to qualify for the biggest football competition in Africa is on, the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. 48 teams in 12 groups, with only the top 2 teams in each group qualifying for the African Cup of Nations in 2025 in Morocco. Don't miss the action, suspense and unrivaled coverage on AfroSport TV and its affiliates partners across Nigeria, starting from September 2024 to November 2024. AfroSport, your freedom of sport.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA, and we are reviewing the Edo governorship election, which held over the weekend, and our guest is still here. They are still here, rather. And Chibuke, I want to bring you into the conversation again now. You've listened to what the other guests have said, especially Jide Ojo, the issue of the deployment of technology, to the improvement of our electoral process, and also that we are on a journey. It's not a sprint, but it's a marathon. But some issues were raised, especially when it concerns the issue of apathy, people not coming out to vote. It borders on the issue of trust and confidence in the system. Now, how do we begin to build that trust and confidence, you understand, in the people, so that in the subsequent elections we can see a light, a ray of hope, an improvement in our system?
Yeah, first of all, let me also confirm that CDD was monitoring this information.
Okay.
Apart from the electoral process. So on a regular basis, we are churning out verifications, countering those disinformation and confirming, because there was a lot of fake news in the environment. So that was to mention that. I listened to Jide really. It's not a sprint, it is
a marathon.
Exactly. But, on the question of technology, let me just recall, I think just before 2011 election, I had opportunity to attend a technology conference in Kenya. They called it Pressing Buttons for Democracy, and what I saw there clearly was, and that was the time Nigeria did voter registration and achieved 93-something million within a very short time. Very quick accomplishment at that period. And Ghana also did the same thing. South Africa did the same thing. South Africa had about 18 million voters. Ghana had 10 million or something. Nigeria was talking about 90-something million. And unfortunately, these two other countries were acknowledged and applauded, and Nigeria was not reckoned with, simply because at that time we were unable to audit our voter registration registrar, which up to now I don't know to what extent I don't know the integrity of our voter registration. So what I'm saying is technology is key, and we are shying away from it. Hansa mentioned that we've been doing. I think we are partially doing it. What stops us from embracing it completely? I mean, if you look at our banking system, look at every other thing. Technology is inherent in all of this. Why is it when it comes to election, we are partially adopting one thing or another? I think we should embrace it fully. And I mean, it's not just about the technology, it's also the people behind them. Right? So we acknowledge that it's not about reforms, it's also about the people. So we also need to reform ourselves. But I really not agree with Jide completely on the question of we are arriving or we are making progress. Yes, there's some level of progress, but that's some. And I'm very cautiously optimistic about how Nigeria is faring, really, and against the backdrop of who we are. I mean, to the rest of the world, or even within the sub-region. Nigeria once was a pathfinder, was a big brother and all of that. I mean, we're supposed to be a regional leader. In fact, we're a global player. But when it comes to certain indices, Nigeria is very reluctant to partake in what they call global competitiveness. We don't seem to learn from others. We are on our own pace, and we think the little things we're noticing here and there is enough to, I mean, it's not good enough. See the election that took place in South Africa. We all saw it. See how results were trickling in. There was a bill, there was a board, there was what do you call it? You monitor it on the screen. Now we're talking about just one election in Edo. And now almost 24 hours. I'm not sure we're able to achieve any meaningful results. So it's not, we cannot be patting ourselves on the back for those little things. Nigeria is, are we not the biggest black nation we are told? And we have everything working for us. So it is the manpower that is failing us. It is the politicians that are failing us. Even the question of, we have all the laws. Now, there are some people who were arrested for vote trading. And this is not the first time. We saw it. So what we expect is, let us also know those people were convicted, or, I mean, let them be tried, let them verify all of those things. But before you know it, that is gone. The short memory we have, the politicians are really dealing with us, and it's a gang up against the people. You see, there is, if you're ever talking about democratic dividends, which we hear every now and then, I don't know to what extent we have experienced democratic dividends here. What we see is the gang up of the politicians, against the people, and they deploy poverty as an instrument. And that is the linkage to vote buying and all of that. You just alluded to where people have a longer route to cover to go and vote. and then people are susceptible to accepting perhaps here and there, and they will say it is our collective money. What we expect in terms of good governance is we have everything working for us. How are our politicians who are battling and killing themselves to govern us? And when they get there, they are no longer accountable, they're not transparent, the people are no longer in the equation. And for me, the last time I checked, democracy is about the people. So if politicians are, look, it's so annoying when you look at our budgetary, monitor our budgets. Every year, every single item is provided in the same budget. Both durable equipment and everything, cars, everything is repeated every year on a yearly basis. But check allocations to development projects, go and check wherever it is situated. Nothing is happening there. And this has been the trend since 1999. So if you ask me, we're not making meaningful progress. We just have some isolated, progress in some areas. And it has to do with the people themselves who have made themselves available to govern us.
So that's where the issue of trust and confidence is.
Okay, now, so on that one, we're talking about why should people, INEC come to polling units late? Why should, the delays in logistics? I was asking one of the former REC to explain that, sensitive materials get to the polling units on that election day. Maybe eve of the election, they come to the RAC centers, right? So you see the journey. All of these things they are trust issues. One of my friends was saying that in their own clime, an election officer can go home with these materials and come to the polling unit with them on election day. But you cannot try that here. It's a trust matter.
It's a trust matter.
Because we can't trust these people. And there's everything enough for us to trust politicians. Okay, those in INEC, we have an INEC chairman, and he's working with thousands of lieutenants. But I'm now asking myself, why is it that the electoral reform that we invested so much, which everybody acknowledged is the best document we have, we are suspending all of those provisions? The day we were able to, the recommendation we did in the electoral reform document is we provided for the South African model, which is make the position of INEC chair competitive for people to apply and go through the review process, or identify 3 principled individuals in Nigeria and present to the president to choose from among the 3. Now, if you give them 3 very principled people we know we can vouch for, and he picks one among them, that is settled. There will be no question about your imposing. And in our claim, we give allegiance to the guy who appoints us. Unfortunately, you see how professors behaved during the election? A whole professor who has been in academia for 20 years will now suddenly cannot find his voice to present a simple figure.
Okay.
Simply because they want to respond to whatever they have been provided for. It's sad, really. The progress is very slow.
But we are moving.
We are moving.
At least we are making little progress, which is also very important.
Should our electoral process be where it is today, with the huge investment in the process itself? So much money goes into it, and should we be where we are, or should we be? Why are we behind other countries that don't even have the facilities we have in this country?
Okay, it's just because of what you call maybe the Nigerian thing, the Nigerian way, the Nigerian factor. Okay, so there are multiple layers to it, because personally, if not that maybe one still have faith and trust that, okay, it's not by mistake, for instance, that God made me a Nigerian. Looking at the indices, maybe one would have aligned with the Japa syndrome. But again, the fact that if maybe some of us have been opportune to also to tour some other nations, but there is something still unique about Nigeria. We're a blessed nation. But it's just that you have just few, and maybe the moment you cross into that line of political elite, you now want to behave like them, saying like it's like the rest no longer matter. to you. Because like for this Edo election, yes, celebration everywhere. We are happy of the great progress made thus far. For me, security-wise, because no record of deaths, no stealing of ballot papers, and what have you.
No
So we still having pockets of issues there, but they are very insignificant to condemn or not to applaud the security agencies. Again, but we still have a long way to go, given the resources in our arsenal, given the fact that, because yes, when you look at management of security before election, during election, and if at the end of the day you've skated through before and during election, you must not close your eyes on after election. It's not until you have it today, it could be next week, next month, because you just like him referenced disinformation and misinformation. I will not be surprised to hear tomorrow or next that the outgoing governor has maybe moved that elsewhere, so resources has been siphoned, this one moved, a lot of misinformation. Then I would want also a situation whereby maybe the heads of security agencies in that state will no longer pay allegiance or work with the outgoing governor. No, we must maintain that mutual relationship, security-wise, from all the different security agencies until the day he hands over. Even after handing over, he's still maybe a notable individual that need a high level of security to that extent, because there are still informations within his arsenal that we need to extract or consult from time to time. Is very, very important. Okay, so let it not be that maybe at this point in time, because this one is now a past governor and there is another incoming governor, then the security agency now want to be loyal to the party in power.
But that's how
that orientation must change. And that is why the fact that we are exposing it here at the media, the civil society and what have you, that brings us to the level where we are, that there is a hope. Maybe you can use the word, the renewed hope of the ruling party. We are seeing the renewed hope, and we must sustain and torchlight it to the best of it.
We just hope all the time.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Uzoma. Now, okay, Hamza, let me ask this question. The role of the political parties and also their agents before, during this election, how would you describe it?
I think everyone was ready except always the political parties and their agents, because when you follow the trend and when you follow before and even during the elections, they always interfere. They always interfere in the process. Yes, before the electoral process, the political party will undertake their primaries, their party primaries, to have a flag bearer. And when you look at that process, it starts, even within that process, it starts with inducement, from even picking up a form. It's heavily monetized. So I think maybe the reform should start from that side before it comes to the electoral process. But I think they should have a mindset change where we don't heavily monetize it. Mind you, politics itself is about service to humanity. Coming to public office is about providing service, providing ideals, providing solutions to imagined problems, and ensuring that Nigeria enjoys the dividends of democracy. But when you heavily monetize it, then everyone wants to reap from the entire system and process. Because if someone would want to invest about 10 billion, why are you investing that much when you are going there to serve? So I think that there should be that mindset change from the political parties and the political elite and their agents, and let them stop the interference. If they believe in the rule of law, why do you interfere in the process? Why do you need to buy everybody? Why do you need to pay everybody? Why not just do your homework and believe that a level playing field will bring out the best and the people will decide? Why do you have to interfere? Both in security, both in electoral process and INEC ad hoc staff, and even the electorate themselves. So maybe the reform would start with them, and we have that mindset change. And it shouldn't be a do-or-die affair. You know, it should be a level playing ground where people throw themselves in, not to a battleground. You know, maybe we say throw themselves for service to their people, to humanity.
That is, if they understand that they are going there to actually serve. Because if you are offering yourself for service and the people say, no, don't come and serve us, why must you kill to do that? If truly and really that is what your aim is, to go there and serve, if it's
Well,
not for any other purpose.
Indeed. Let's bring in Jide Ojo into the conversation. Edo has one of the largest number of people in diaspora around the world. And talking about electoral reforms, they've been agitating for the opportunity to vote from wherever they are. If this reform takes place, would it be a game changer?
Yeah, it will be very difficult to have a state-level diaspora voting. I don't know where it has been done, but I know what is doable is diaspora voting for presidential election. That one is more like it. So if you are abroad, and I was here last week or thereabouts, and we were talking about the national identification number, and then the NIMSI, remember the guy said they have offices abroad in over 70 countries. They have, you can enroll, get your name in over 70 countries. So I think part of the reform agenda that my brother Amsa is pushing for is also to see a possibility of out-of-country and diaspora voting. But it should not just be that. There are even low-hanging fruits of people that should be brought on board to be part of the voting process. You and I, who are on election duty, we can't vote even when we have we are registered, because there's no provision for early voting. When I went to Ghana in 2008, it was already operational in Ghana that if you are going to be on election duty or you are an essential worker, you can vote a week ahead in certain polling units. You know, not every polling unit, but in designated polling. And that's what you see in America in November. There is provision for early voting. Yes, people who have provision for early voting, out-of-country voting. Even in Kenya, in 2022 general election in Kenya, did you know that prisoners voted? Prisoners, if you are not on death row, they are allowed to vote. You know, so.
But if you're on death row, you're not dead yet.
Well, maybe
you can vote since you're not dead yet.
That exception could be done, but
you could be there for the next 10 years.
I know in Kenya, prisoners voted in 2022. They have out-of-country voting. They have early voting provision. They also, and then when I went to Egypt in 2014, did you know the shocker I found? They don't even have permanent voters card. You use your national ID card to vote.
Once
you are 18, they send you SMS to say you are qualified to now vote. And they tell you where your voting polling station will be. That is technology. They are leveraging on technology to do so many things. And I think my brother Chibike is not getting the feel. We are not where we ought to be, but we are not where we used to be. And I think we should commend ourselves for that baby steps progress that we are making. I'm not contextualizing the entire democratic project. I'm talking about specifically to elections. If it were to be period of anything goes, all this vote buying was not prominent in until 2015, 2019, when it was becoming increasingly difficult for them to just give token to presiding officer to get mass people to do mass thumb printing. Now, if you do mass thumb printing now, there are forensic experts that will detect that this, and that's how some elections were nullified by court that made us to have staggered elections that we currently have.
For instance, in
forensic audit. Yeah. You know, that, this result, this batch of ballot papers were completed by the same individual. And that's how, the Court of Appeal had to, had to nullify some of the elections and said somebody else won.
Because of our time, we have less than two more minutes to go. So let's just get the parting shot of Dr. Uzoma. Now, the election is won and lost. So what advice would you have for the winner of this election?
They say there are no losers in Nigerian politics.
Oh, well, Is you either win or you lose. That is just the game.
The winning is for the entire people of Edo State and Nigeria at large. And when you say the winner, even those others who lost or came second, third, and what have you, they are also winners because they participated in the process. They have their life, and on the part of INEC, there are lessons also learned again for improvement. The voters have learned, other political parties, because like for me, if you are to judge from afar and media hypes, there are certain candidates and political parties that one had expected would have won the election, already won the election. But appearance is different from reality. Politics is grassroots.
Politics is grassroots. Okay.
Mine
is,
his mic is not on.
It's 30 seconds. Oh, your mic is not on. Okay,
Hamza, as we care for Ondo
you just pick your...
What do you expect in 30 seconds?
Fix your mic.
I think we should take lessons from Edo and improve in our electoral process, and also look forward to embracing technology holistically.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, so Ondo State comes November 16th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I expect a sharp departure from, all the dark spots we noticed from Edo. There should be improvement in Ondo.
Okay. Jide, last.
My admonition will be to the political class: let Nigerians breathe. Let the democratic consolidation exercise be deepened. Let INEC do its work professionally. Stop interference. Stop these desperate actions. If it's just about service, you don't have to resort to self-help and violence because you want to serve the people.
Okay, Jide Ojo, Public Affairs Analyst. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
Hamzat Lawan, co-convener, Not Too Young to Run Movement, Chief Executive, Connected Development Code. Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure you guys are all tired. And Dr. Kingsley Uzoma, Secretary Expert and Chief Consultant, Eagle Rescue Systems. Thank you for coming. And
that's all.
Yes, that's all, Mr. Chubuke Umbeahurike. I hope I got that right too. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure having you. And that has been Good Morning Nigeria for today. Thank you so much for your time. I am Juma yourself.
And I am Ademola Adire. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.